Welcome to section 2, video number 2. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the heel-to-toe differential for running shoes. You'll see this specification a lot on either running websites or even high-end running shoe stores. Very experienced runners will know the importance of having a shoe with a certain heel-to-toe differential. So we talked about in the written literature, we talked about the term stack height. So we're going to reference this as stack height from here on out, and the difference between the heel stack height and the toe stack height is often called the heel-to-toe differential. So you'll see it written a couple of different ways. Sometimes people will call it offset. Sometimes people will call it heel-toe differential, or just they'll give you the two measurements for the stack height. Okay, let's talk in a little bit more detail about stack heights. When referencing stack heights, it gets a little bit confusing because you can't always tell from the outside of the shoe what the stack height is. You have to rely on the measurements given from the manufacturer, or if there's no measurements given, like if you're in a general shoe store at the mall or something, you won't have these specifications to go from. So let's take a quick look at how the stack height is measured. So if we take away half of this shoe, the stack height is simply the height of the midsole and the upper combined from the floor or the ground. So the way this is measured is it's measured from the heel, the center of the heel, to the floor, and the center of the forefoot to the floor. So you'll see this referenced as either heel-toe differential or stack height total, and they'll give you two measurements. They'll give you the stack height at the heel and the stack height at the forefoot of the shoe. The difference of those two numbers will give you the heel-to-toe differential or the offset for that shoe. This specific shoe has a 3 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe, and we can see that, and it makes sense because there's not a whole lot of material between here and here. So one way that this is very challenging is that in order for you to actually get this measurement, you either have to have a measuring device with a caliper on it that will actually go from the outside of the shoe to the floor, or you have to sacrifice a shoe, as we did here, and measure those two. It's best to get these numbers off of a reputable website like Running Warehouse or something like that, so that you can get some reliable data on your shoes. And we'll talk a little bit about in section 5 on how to judge your heel-toe offset for yourself in a shoe store. But let's take a quick look at two shoes which are both heel-to-toe differentials of 6 millimeters. So we can see that the Innovate, while the stack height is the same, the differential is the same, the stack height is not the same. So a stack height which is close to the ground, so a very thin stack height, is more of a minimalist type shoe. You can have the same heel-to-toe differential, which in this case is 6 millimeters, with a very thick stack height. So we can see how thick this midsole is, even in the forefoot as opposed to the heel, or we can see how thin this is comparatively on the Innovates. So just because you have a flat shoe or flatter shoe doesn't mean that it has to be a minimalist shoe. It can have some significant amount of cushioning. It just means that there's not a big difference between the height of the shoe at the heel and the height of the shoe at the forefoot. This is another cutaway of the Innovate, and this is just the outsole. And we can see that put next to the New Balance shoe here with the same heel-to-toe differential, and we lost a little bit of rubber here, but the stack height will be measured from here anyway. We can see that we have a much thicker midsole on the New Balance than we do for the Innovate. And one thing that you'll need to know if you measure this for yourself just by kind of estimating in here, you'll need to remove the insole if possible, because the insole is not taken into consideration when we measure stack heights. The insole is removed. So there you go. That's all you need to know about stack heights, how to find stack heights, how to get good information, and We'll see you in the next section.